following the choir. And by the way, if you're looking for the Bible verse it contains, may the good Lord shine a light on you like the evening sun, it's Exile on Main Street, Rolling Stones. All right. At the beginning of time, God turned love into light as a pathway to life, and it was certainly good. But if it was so good, why is it we constantly have to buy lighters and bulbs and batteries to keep ourselves out of the darkness? For many reasons and in many circumstances, we have celebrated light this year, but consider darkness, the event to which light is responding. If God did not use the light to eternally expel darkness, perhaps darkness is part of God's plan too. Darkness is not something to be loved or hated, embraced or feared, but to be understood as a constant presence in the world that can only be temporarily dispelled. When there is light, we're able to see ourselves in relation to the world and the people around us. Things make sense. Darkness represents confusion, despair, ignorance, death, and other suffering that have always been and will always be part of the human experience, as we all are well aware. But for every episode of darkness you have faced in your life, you have found someone who or something that has shown a light into your darkness. All of the wonderful things that light represents, clarity, hope, inspiration, joy, ingenuity, resilience, mercy, forgiveness, grace, health, life, etc., are responses to darkness we face. Darkness is an opportunity to which God calls us to be a light for others or to seek the light of others to get out of the darkness. Perhaps God kept darkness in constant supply in the world so that we could become aware of all the light we possess and all the light that is around us. The members of the class of 2019 have been light in many ways, but before talking about all that, as I am apt to do, tonight I want to wade into the generational chasm that exists between graduates and parents. I spoke 4 years ago to the students on behalf of parents about what makes us goofy. We, a group of intelligent people who used to be really cool, have since been turned into parents. A group who has spent the most productive, active, and awesome years of our lives watching you play sports, listening to you sing, helping you find your stuff, and trying to get you to start figuring some things out for yourself. And we're goofy because we do it all again for you. Now, we could talk about 1,000 things that are different about the ways in which the two generations have grown up, but there's one thing that represents how much things have changed. Something that used to drive decisions, unite communities, and was even given credit for helping to raise children. Its characters were our heroes. Its stories engaged us and made us all feel connected to a broader world and history. It was at the center of most family gatherings and debates. It helped us define who we were socially, politically, and personally. It's still around today, but so much has changed that it seems unrecognizable to those of us who once thought it capable of changing the world. I am, of course, talking about television. Back in the 1970s, TV was large and in charge, man. You knew what day of the week it was based on what was on TV that night. TV taught you to be on time by forcing you to wait until a show returned in reruns 3 months later if you missed it when it played the first time. TV taught us patience by forcing us to sit through commercials, presidential addresses, and the shows others wanted to watch. TV Guide was journalism. And a remote was the youngest person in the room walking to the TV, changing the channel, the volume, or the antenna angle upon the request of the eldest. The biggest problem that TV presented was sitting too close to the screen, which would cause you anything from blindness to insanity, depending on which grandmother you listen to. With only 1 or 2 TVs in the house and only 5 or 6 channels on the set, television was something that brought the family and the community together. All of us guys had our favorite player on the White Shadow. We had our favorite monkey, and we all hated Chachi because Joni loved him instead of us. Our first crushes were Marcia, Marianne, and Daisy. And you better believe when Fonzie jumped 14 garbage cans in the parking lot of Arnold's restaurant, we were there. When Elvis did his Aloha from Hawaii satellite concert in 1973, my family gathered around in front of the TV for this historic event. And my mother took Polaroid pictures of the TV screen when there was a close-up of the king. Every one of them looked like a picture of a TV set with a blurry screen. But she kept taking them, and they are in our family photo album. It seems crazy in our world of today to think that people would have to go to such lengths to capture an image of a celebrity or get a free recording of something. Do I find it a fulfillment of a childhood fantasy that we live in a world where I can essentially access any movie, TV show, or song I could possibly want to have? Absolutely yes. Life is too short for stuff I don't like. But radio stations and TV and movie screens, for better or for worse, used to be communal spaces. Now they've become personal property, consumed in isolation. TV has found its way on our computers, phones, watches, and even gas pumps. Maybe we as people have become so easily distracted because it has become so difficult to escape the things that distract us. And don't make me get all 1984 on you and talk about how those screens are gathering as much information as they're producing. But I digress. In the glorious 1970s, at least when we did zone out in front of the screen, we were doing it together, as a family, the way it was supposed to be. Those were the days. As generation gaps go, the one between the members of this class and their parents is huge. Both sides can say that their lives at 18 look absolutely nothing like the others because most things that one did to prepare for being 18 were not done by the other, or at least done so significantly different as to seem absurd. And I say most because there are some things that remain the same. Parents still love their children and sacrifice daily to see that their children are healthy, happy, and hopeful. School personnel still love their students and strive daily to improve the quality of students' thinking, working, and communicating. And kids still love one another and live daily to be the friend that someone will need them to be. Those are the relationships that we not only celebrate tonight, but those are the relationships that will continue to help us fight darkness when we encounter it. To one degree or another, every student in the class of 2019 has been a light in the darkness of adversity. Separation, illness or injury, loss, and a host of other times when circumstances presented them with darkness, either their own, within their families, or that of a friend. As a football coach, I saw the way the class cheered Trey Fryman, who finally got to play this season after knee surgeries ended the previous two. I saw them rally around Danny Wagner and a host of others whose senior seasons ended too early. In theater, I saw a cast and crew of artists who bought into the vision of a cranky old director who directed them to go for the wow and create interesting reality on stage. And it was not cute at all. It was really funny. And as for Kairos, my good friend Gonzo said it best. I wear my cross because it means I'm on a journey. When you see someone else with one, it means you can walk together for a while. That's the kind of light these kids have spread into my life. I've had the privilege of working with many of the students of this class in English this year and previous ones, including 27 lovely young folks who hung out in the basement during H-Bell. What a great way to spend the last period of the day, provided you didn't want to talk about literature. The class felt very honest, like family. Maybe that's why Thomas reminded us to pray for hours every day. It seemed like everyone in the class was a captain of some team or leader of some group or an officer in some organization. It was a fun, high-energy, free-spirited kind of class. I'm indebted to that class for a great many laughs, a few tears, and even some advice about how to deal with my allergies to a 3-footed cat that my family rescued from a McDonald's parking lot. Rescued, abducted, I wasn't there, and I'm getting conflicting stories about what really happened from those who were, but we have a cat and I'm allergic to it, and we're keeping it. I look forward to that class just about every day because of the vibe they brought with them, reminding me that the classroom is for laughter and tears and advice. It's the coolest place on earth. It's still a place, and maybe the only one left, where an idea is valued based on its merits and not on the affluence, influence, or popularity of the person who gave it. It's a place where everyone has a voice and an opportunity and an obligation to use it. It's still a place where you hear phrases like, love one another, be not afraid, and follow me. There were a couple of senior English classes throughout the day, containing mostly folks who I'd gotten to know when they were sophomores in American Lit. The leaps that many of you have made from the time I first got to know you 3 years ago is astounding in some cases. What great students and friends and people you continue to become. I've dealt with my own darkness at times this year, only be drawn out of that darkness by the light of friendships I've gotten to witness between Lexi and Claire and Caitlin, Tommy and Gonzo, Aaron and Grace, AJ and Robbie and the Sarge, Alan and Lauren, MJ and Luke and Chicken Boy, Liz and Henry, Catherine and Jenna, Adam and Sally, Luke and Luke, Aaron and Wags, and Jensen and, well, everybody. I will forever feel blessed by experiencing Bertie's vision, Cavan's wisdom, Jenna's passion, Ellie's smile, Lexi's laugh, and Haley's song, each developed as a response to some darkness that each of them has had to combat. I love the way you look out for and take care of one another. I thank you, and I already miss you. The need to both produce light and find light in our lives is seldom easy and is never over. The darkness will always be there, and as any one of us can attest, it can be very, very dark for a very, very long time. But there is always light, perhaps not our own, but certainly a light created in love and moving toward life that can be found in all of our darkness. I thank God for all the ways in which the members of this class have chosen to be light to each other and to our school. My continuing prayer for those who bless our school with their presence is that we continue to teach our students the power of light in the face of darkness, the places where the light is in most need, and the places where it can be found when they need it. Then, that the students get really, really good at using their light and taking care of each other and their families than the rest of God's creation. That's a tall order, but you are rockets. You can handle it. May God continue to bless the class, their families, their friends, and their school, Archbishop McNick High School, the greatest place on earth. And may the good Lord shine a light on you like the evening sun. Thank you.